Yes, my name is Mr. Jeremiah Christopher from Educare, Tanzania. Today I'm here in front of you, my dear students, to proceed with our lesson. The last session we have been discussing about the rapid population growth. We have been discussing the different things concerning about the rapid population growth, as we have been seeing the factor that lead to the occurrence of rapid population, and we have been seeing the impact that is related to the rapid population growth. But today we are going to see why in most of the developing countries there is unsustainable. When you say something is unsustainable, this is the vice versa of the word sustainable. Sustainable means that if you say the population is sustainable, it means that the relationship between the number of people in the certain area is related to the available resources. There is an equal balance between available resources and the number of people. So when we say the population is unsustainable, you mean that there is no balance between available resources and the number of people found in the certain area. So, and this occurs mostly to those developing countries. Okay, let us now see the reasons why unsustainable population in the developing country. By looking at the definition of unsustainable population, is a population growth which does not permit smooth social and economic development as well as environmental soundness. Here is kind of population whereby there is no permit smooth social and economic development as well as environmental soundness. Here, as we said, is that when we say the population is unstable, means that the relationship between available resources and the number of people do not balance. So, due to the occurrence of unsustainable, it can lead to the different impacts like the environmental soundness. Also, it will bring the impact on the economic, social, and etc. So, those points that show that why, or reasons that show that why the population in the developing country are unstable. The first point is population expansion in the developing countries is unsustainable because the rate of increase in number of people is faster than the economic development, such that the available resources do not satisfy the existing number of people. When the population expands faster compared to the available resources, we mean that the number of people tend to be high compared to the available resources. That here we say the available resources do not satisfy the existing number of people. Those resources do not satisfy the lives of people in that country or a certain place because the number of people is large compared to the available resource. Another point is the fast expansion has led to the occurrence of overpopulation in the different places, leading to the problem of pressure for land, leading to the land fragmentation, resource exhaustion like mineral depletion and deforestation. As we see that this is another impact of all in the developing country to having unstable population that is related to the population explosion or expansion. If the population is expanded, it leads to the occurrence of overpopulation. Overpopulation is that situation whereby the certain place or country have the large number compared to the available resource. And I feel that overpopulation have got the different problems in the country or any certain place. For example, pressure for land leading to the land fragmentation, exhaustion of resources. Exhaustion of resources like in mineral is exhausted. Also, deforestation will take place since the result of large number of people will engage into the different sectors. For example, in agriculture. Hence, also deforestation will take place because even those who want to establish a settlement, they tend to deforestation take place because the trees that exist at that area they will going to be cut, and hence deforestation take place. So large-scale vegetation depletion has led to the desertification, as we know that also even desertification will be able to occur because the occurrence of desertification in the certain area is the impact of deforestation. So through deforestation, the desertification will be able to take place. Environmental pollution has increased. Also the environment will increase into different areas, for example, the source of waters due to those kind of deforestation and etc. Also decline in sanitary condition leading to the outbreak of diseases like cholera. As you see that there will be occurrence of pollutions. So pollutions occur in the different areas, for example in water. So if the water is polluted, automatically the diseases like cholera will take place there. So that is another impact of having the large number of people in the certain area. Another is unemployment, due to the fact that if the number of people is large, automatically the government will fail to handle to employ all people that exist in the certain country due to the large number of people. Another is low life expectancy. Low life expectancy. Why low life expectancy? Low life expectancy because of poor social services like health and hospital in general. So if those sectors which is very crucial for the life of people is poor, automatically the life expectancy also will be low. Low life expectancy, high death rate. So if there is a high death rate, is a result of having the life expectancy in that area. Prostitution and other spread of HIV disease. Since there are people who are coming from the different area, and the people tend to be large in number at a certain area, automatically will emerge of different behaviors like prostitution, and hence the spread of diseases like HIV/AIDS. Another is social services are not enough. For example, due to the great number of people, medical services are not adequate, chance for higher education are not enough, distribution of energy and power services is not effective, etc. This will become possible due to the fact that if there is a large number of people, automatically there's also a problem of having those social services will occur because the number is large compared to the available services. The services, for example, like medical will be shortage compared to the large number of people. Also, chance for higher education, that is another reason. Others will get a chance to get education, while others will not get the education. So that is another impact of having the large number of people in the certain area. Also, there is industrial decline because most of the money that could be invested in industrial development is directed to the support of increased amounts in the terms of buying food. So also the government will be able to fail to run the industrial sector, and hence the industry tend to decline. This is simply because those money that will be able to be put to support the development of industry will go directly to fulfill the demand of food by buying it for the purpose of people to having it. This is because the deceleration of the economic growth. As we know that the economy is a key thing to the development of any nation. So if the industry decline, automatically even the economic will tend to decline. But the population expansion can be a blessing in the developing country due to the fact that also this population, not only negatives, but also there is outcomes that will result to the occurrence of population expansion in the developing countries. One among of it is it can lead to the availability of labor that can open up the underpopulated area where the resources are lying idle, like the refugee basin. So those others who if the labors are available, people will engage to those idle lands and to the place where there are resources like in refugee. and they practice the different activities like agriculture. Since in the Fiji basins they can able to put or to make the infrastructure of irrigating the crops, and hence agriculture will be practiced. Okay, let us now see another thing, which is zero population growth. Zero population growth. Zero population growth is experienced in the area where there is no population growth due to the balance between the birth rate and the death rate. When we say zero population growth, we mean that there is an equal balance between birth rate and the death rate. The birth rate tend to be equal to death rate. There is no one side which will be higher compared to other. All will tend to be the same. Birth rate and death rate all they tend to be the same. So the balance between birth rate and the death rate tend to make zero population growth. So zero population growth is the balance between birth rate and the death rate. Death rate and birth rate are low and the population does not fluctuate. Recently, several of the industry, including Sweden, Switzerland, and Japan, have been producing insufficient number of children to maintain the overall numbers. Here we see, for example, in the countries like Sweden, Switzerland, there is this kind of populations. So this means that the children are born to balance the number of people who have died. Also, in order to maintain this kind of zero population, they are going to see those who died. So they encourage the women to conceive in order to bear the child, in order to fulfill the gap of those who have already died. So through doing so, they can able to make the populations to be zero at a certain place. So impact of population, let us now see the impact of population growth. A growing population can be asset or liability, that it can have positive or negative impact as follows. When you say a growing population can be assets, here we're going to see those positive impacts of population growth. And when we say is a liability, here we're going to see those negative impact that is related to the occurrence of population growth in the certain country. By beginning with positive impact, the first point is it can provide labor for utilizing the resources living idle in the underpopulated area. If the population tend to grow, they will provide labor, the ability of labor. In the labor here, we are going to get both skilled and unskilled labor. We get both skilled and unskilled labor because the number of people is large. So through availability of those laborers, it tend to utilize those resources that are found in the certain area. So when the resources like water, land, mineral features, and wildlife are utilized judiciously through proper management and can contribute to national development. As we know that those resources play a great role to the development of the nation, since there is income which the government took there to those natural resources that is available at a certain place, for example, mining and etc. So through having the high number of people in a certain area can be brought to the positive impacts of having the large number of laborers, both skilled and unskilled laborers. Also, people can cooperate in undertaking some measures for environmental conservation. Also, through the availability of those people, the others will engage on how to conserve the environment for the futures. For example, by practicing those proper methods of agriculture, fishing, and mining. So through doing so, they will conserve the environmental and etc. Another positive impact of population growth is it can encourage improvement in science and technology. For example, when population grows, people can be forced to change agriculture system from extensive shifting cultivation to intensive sedentary cultivation, and these changes can involve the use of scientific methods for the sake of getting high production and advanced in technology. When we say advancement of science and technology, as we see that our world of today depend much on the advanced science and technology. Through advanced science and technology, you can go to changes. So through availability of that kind of technology and science, people will apply it and to ensure that there is a advanced methods which will encourage the development to the country. Another positive impact is population can enhance industry and trade development, since it can provide market for different goods to both industry and non-industry. So through availability of population can enhance industry and trade, as we know that trade is a system of exchange. So if there is a large number of people in the certain area, automatically the trade will be conducted, since there is a system of exchange there due to the large number of people, and also others will enhance the industrial sector. So through availability of those people, these two economic sectors, in both industry and trade, tend to develop furthermore. Okay, by finishing those positive impact of population growth, okay, let us now see negative impact of population growth. The first one is population growth can create a pressure for scarce resources, leading to the overutilization and the exhaustion. So another negative impact of having the large number of people in the certain area, it will lead to the creating of pressure to the using of resources. So the resources tend to be utilized, and hence exhaustion will take place. For example, in the mineral sector, the mineral will be exhausted due to the large number of people in the certain area. So that is among the the negative impact of having large number of people in the certain area. Another, it can lead to soil erosion and deforestation because of the increased need for food, settlement, and the recreational amenities. So by having the large number of people in a certain area, it can lead to the occurrence of soil erosion. Why soil erosion? Because people will engage into different activities. For example, those who are practicing to keep, those who practice the agriculture, and those who are engaged in animal keeping, they will encourage the occurrence of soil erosion if there is an improper use of agriculture methods. As we know that the agriculture method, if it is not practiced properly, automatically the soil erosion will take place. And also, if the deforestation takes place, automatically there is harmful or there is hazard that will take place at a certain place. For example, there is able to occur of desertification and etc. So through a large number of people in the certain area, it can lead to the soil erosion and the deforestation. So that is another impact that is negative to the life of the country or people in the certain place. Another impact of having the large number of people in the certain area is it can lead to the increase in environmental pollution and complicate the conservation and the waste management activities. If the people having the large number, if the people tend to be in large number in a certain area, automatically they will fail to manage waste. So the conservation of waste will be hard to be practiced. Also, it can lead to the environmental pollution since the large number of people is there. For example, the pollution will take place at the land. Also, the pollution will take place at water. So, through the large number of people in certain areas, it will lead to the occurrence of those environmental pollutions and etc. Another negative impact is they occur high incidence of crimes exacerbated by unemployment and pressure for resources. This is another negative impact of having large number of people in certain areas, simply because if there is large number of people who is unemployed, they tend to engage in the crimes because they do not have the jobs. So if they do not have the jobs, tend to engage in robberies, activities, and etc. Also, there will be the pressure for resources because the resources do not go or do not balance with the available number of the people in a certain area. So there will be a pressure for the resources like minerals and etc. Another negative impact, it will lead to the increased number of beggars, especially in town. Also, if there is a overpopulation in a certain area, automatically the number of beggars will increase. Why number of beggars will increase? Simply because there is people who will not having the job, so they tend to be beggars and rounding in the street for the searching for food, clothes, and etc. So another impact of having the large number of people in the certain area, it can lead to the increased number of beggars in town. Point number 6, inadequacy of social like medical treatment and education. Automatically this kind of services will not be practiced or will not be performed well because there is a large number of people. So the social services will be inadequate, especially to our country which is developing now. So due to having the large number of people in the developing countries, automatically these sectors will be not good for performance. Another is spread of disease due to high number of pollution exerted by population growth as well as immoral deaths like prostitution usually accompanied with the increase in the population. Spread of disease, as we know that if the peoples are large in now a certain area, automatically they will practice the different behaviors like the immoral behaviors. Others will engage in prostitution because they do not have job of doing so. They are going to engage in prostitution for the purpose of searching of money. So when they tend to engage at this kind of behavior, automatically spread of diseases will take place at that area. Okay, let us now see another things now, which is the population policy. Here we're going to see those regulations and rules that are put by the government for the purpose of controlling or to make the population stable or to make the population the same with the available resources at that area. So population policy refer to the statement, law or regulation enacted so as to attain some demographic goals. Here we're going to look those statement, laws and regulations that are put by the government in order people to follow. So there is a different goals for putting this kind of population. The first goal is to control the populations and the available resources. They tend to make the numbers of people to go perpendicular with the available resources. So it is a deliberated effort by the government to influence demographic goals. There is a demographic goals that is planned by the government. That is why they enacted this kind of policy in order to control the population. It is deliberated effort by the government to influence the demographic factor or population dynamics like fertility, mortality, and migration. Thus, the ultimate goals of the population policy is to influence population size. Another goals of having this population policy is to ensure population size. There is importance of having the population size in the certain area because it will ensure the effective provision of social services, and all people in society they are going to get is a social services the same with other. So that is another objective of having the population policies, to ensure population size. Another is to ensure also the composition. In the composition you are going to look the how is it composed in the society, the numbers of males, youngs, old, and etc. Distribution and the growth, as well as how they tend to be distributed in the streets and the growth, how the growth occur. The police also tend to take into consideration and relationship between population and development, as well as its impact on the environmental condition. Also, on the population policy, they look at there is consideration relationship between population and development. As I said earlier, that you can't separate the population from the development as things that are going together. So the government puts the policy in order to ensure that there is a good relationship between population and development, as well as impact on the environment. So after looking at that kind of relationship between population and development, also they look what kind of impact will occur on the environment. That is why they put that kind of policy. Okay, let's see now. Population policy can be explicit or implicit. As my fellow student, you have to know that things that population policy can be either explicit or implicit. By definition, so explicit population refers to the document or clear statement issued by the government department and its commission. This is kind of population policy which is documented or clear statement issued by the government. This kind of policy is prepared by the government and its department, which is intended to control population. The aim of putting this kind of population is to control the population growth and rise the standard of life is to control the population, to ensure that the population go balance with the available resource, and also to ensure that there is a good standard of life for people in the country. So explicit policy can also stem from the law policy declaration by the part of the directive issued by the president of a country. So in the enacting of this kind of policy, even the president of a certain country will participate in order to ensure the effectiveness of performing those services to the people. So explicit laws are well stipulated and strictly followed or enforced. This kind of policy that is explicit, there is a strategies that is applied in order to reinforce it for people to follow it. People in the country, and this kind of policies, they tend to be reinforced in order to follow it. So because there is a positive impact when the people in the country following this kind of policy. Such policies prevailed in the China, where the limit in the number of children was set and the increase were given to all those who could follow, while penalties were given to those who did not follow. This kind of policies applied in the China as a developed country, and there is a penalty that a person tend to be punished if do not follow that kind of policy that is put by the government. Other countries with explicit policy are Sweden. Even Sweden is among the countries in the world that use the explicit policy, and England, even England is among the countries that use this kind of the policy. Hence, the explicit policy is a elaborate statement which spells out its regional objective, goals, and targets, policy programs, and implementation. So in the explicit policy, there is objectives, targets, policy program, and the implementation. So there is a reinforcement for implementation of it within the country. Another is implicit policy population policy. My dear students, we have been already discussed about the explicit policy. That is kind of the policy that is issued by the government. It's the official document that is issued by the government for people to follow it, and it is reinforced one. So let us now see the implicit population policy. Refer to the particular law, regulation, or statement which may have direct or indirect effect on the population growth. Now the difference between this kind of policy is that this implicit may have either direct or indirect effect to the population growth, but in explicit they have direct effect on the population growth. Implicit population is not as elaborated as explicit, since it's somehow unclear and cannot be easily understood, lead to the failure in terms of implementation. So during the preparation of this kind of policies, there is a differences that occur between the preparation of explicit and the preparation of implicit tends to differ during the preparation of it. So only in explicit policy, there are some issues that will occur like unclear and cannot be easily understood. So another difference between explicit and implicit is that in explicit there is a clear understood and there is a well-organized implementation of this kind of policy, while in implicit there is no easily understood, leading to the failure in terms of implementation. So due to misunderstandings in the implementation of this, there is failure that will appear in the populations. So all in all, the population policy, whether explicit or implicit, has a limited aim of enforcing country population size, composition, distribution, and growth. But now, as our statement here is that say all in all, both explicit and implicit have got the same goals and mission, and that kind of goals is to ensure population size, composition, distribution, and growth. So those kinds of policy, both implicit and explicit, is to ensure the population size, composition, distribution, and growth. Okay. Let us now see goals and the objective of the national population policy. Now, after finishing to discuss those kind of policies, we have already looked at there is a implicit and the explicit population policy. So there is questions here. My dear student, you are supposed to do it individually, and you are going to mark at the next session. The question needs us to briefly explain the differences between explicit and the implicit population policy. So each student, you are supposed to go and to search for those differences between explicit and the implicit population policy.